Today we're going to be looking into Insight Smart Cloud by NETGEAR Business. My name is Kieran Purdy. I'm a systems engineer for the UK, Ireland and the Nordics. We're going to take a look at the agenda. So why NETGEAR Insight? We'll follow that up with an overview of the solution itself, the products that you can use in the solution, and where, as a partner or an end user, you can position those. And then we're going to save some time at the end to answer any questions that you guys may have. So why NETGEAR Insight? And I guess the question we're really asking here is, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? Why is there a need for a NETGEAR Insight? And this is summarizing it in a picture that we've all probably be related to at one point in time when thinking about IT. So IT solutions frustrate business owners, and this is going to be a big indication to where Insight is positioned, and we will come to that in more detail later on. But the idea is, if we think about traditional big IT or enterprise IT, for the majority or for a big part of the SMB user base that we see at NETGEAR, they're finding things too complex, too fragmented, hidden costs, be it CapEx or OpEx, not intuitive in terms of what their needs and requirements are, lack of control, time consuming and unreliable. Now, that tees us up directly to this. Now, this is research done by Salesforce.com on the connected small businesses. If we look at this, one of the interesting things to find out is that 83% of businesses do not have IT staff. And then we further drill that stat down and we look at 72% of those small business owners are the ones responsible for making the company's technology buying decisions. Now, when we think about that and the guys who are actually using it, I'm going to fall back to coffee shop scenario here. If I think about who works in that coffee shop, I have potentially the owner, the manager, maybe an assistant manager, waiters, waitresses. Within the scope of the budget to run that shop, would I believe that there's going to be in-house IT? Probably not. And I can relate that same model to a lot of small businesses where it's going to be either the owner, one of the staff members, or the third option, potentially giving that out to a third MSP party who can look after that IT for me, all of which don't tend to be an optimal solution. When we're looking at the guys who are doing it themselves, they still want the technological advancements, they still want the gains from using high-end IT. They don't have the expertise or the time to learn those expertise that enables them to get a similar result to the guys who potentially do have those when we start to move up into bigger and bigger IT. So our answer to that is NETGEAR Insight. And as a solution, this is what we see in bridging that gap between expertise and end user result in terms of what you can do with your network. So Insight is an application that runs on both iOS and Android, free to download on the stores as of today. It gives you one-touch network visibility anytime, any place. And it works across our Insight-enabled wireless access points, switches, and our ReadyNAS storage devices that work on OS 6.7 and above. We can further drill into it and say there's 4 pillars to what Insight does. And those are full network discovery of your devices, setup and installation of those once they're discovered. We then go into monitoring of your devices for alerts, notifications, and constant updates. And then it moves into management and maintenance of your devices and your networks going forward. So if we think about logical way and we take an access point, I'm going to discover the access point in my network, be it via network discovery or by QR code or serial number. We can then set it up and give it its wireless network name, its SSIDs. I can put some restrictions or maybe a captive portal for my coffee shop, if you will. Then we're looking at monitoring, so I can now be anywhere in the world, and I can receive alerts to notify me on the status, be it good or bad, of my network and the changes that need to be made. I can do that remotely. And that falls again into the ongoing management and maintenance. Firmware upgrades, remotely off-site, VLAN management, ACLs for security. And that's just a very small taster of what you can do with the Insight platform. So to summarize in a few lines what it will give you as a user of the application, you're going to get unified wireless and wired management, unrivaled user experience and remote access and configuration into your devices, instant discovery. Like I said, you can discover by QR code, serial number, or network discovery. There's no additional hardware. So although we are cloud controlled, the only hardware will be your actual on-site hardware, be it your NAS storage devices, your wireless access points, or your cloud-enabled switches. The second part to that, is going to be the application that resides either on your phone or on your tablet. Now, in terms of products, like I said, Insight will currently manage Insight-enabled wireless access points, switches, and ReadyNAS OS 6.7 and above devices. Now, the first device, if you will, is going to be the app and the phone or your tablet. In terms of features, like I said, it runs on iOS and Android. It's going to give you access from anywhere and visibility into your network. It gives you single sign-on for ease of use. Within the app itself, you'll also get instant access into support with knowledge-based guides and community guidelines and instructions on how to configure and learn what different technologies are. If you're looking for discovery, we have the QR and inventory listings. Simple network creation, so I can go from 0 to hero, no VLANs to 10 with optimization. One-tap registration for your devices that we always encourage. Then devices will be registered for support and visibility within the app, and then management moving forward for all your devices. In terms of switching, we're going to be looking at 4 models currently that you can manage. They're going to be the GC110, the 110P, the 510P, and the GC510PP. Now, it's going to give you PoE and PoE Plus options, things like dedicated fiber uplinks. In terms of capabilities, if you have visited NETGEAR before, a user of the product, or have seen the capabilities in our current switching portfolio, we're going to look and say that it aligns with our Smart Plus capabilities. You're going to get VLAN support. And in terms of port counts, you're going to be looking between 8 and 10, as well as the extra fiber uplinks on the side. In the bottom right-hand corner, those are the actual models that we're talking about today. I can see a question. I will get to it, guys. I'm going to park it there for the moment, but we will have a Q&A point. We'll also move in. Now, when we look at the feature set for switches, as you can see, there is a quite intensive list of features. Now, the idea really is not to remove features away from the users. It's to bring them the features that you would see in maybe a more traditional or bigger IT situation, but simplify it in terms of understanding, configuration, and deployment of those features. So we're still going to be doing things like management VLANs. We can apply things like IGMP snooping for video optimization if you are streaming video across your network. The same for telephones. Link aggregation for creating lags across your ports that can increase resiliency, redundancy, as well as shared bandwidth. Authentication, IP filtering. Setup and view. We can also reboot the device. We can test cables. We can mirror ports and save configurations. Now, moving on to wireless. Again, within wireless, we're going to be supporting 2 models at the moment. Those are going to be the WAC510 and the WAC505. Both are AC Wave 2 dual band access points. For the features, we're going to be looking at very similar to what you would see on the existing business range in a more simplified layout format and ease of configuration. So we're going to support standard security, be it WPA2, MAC authentication, whitelisting. We have the ability to create captive portals, and this is really key, I think, especially when we think about small business. How many places do you go nowadays, be it a restaurant, a coffee shop, the bus stop next to my house even has guest Wi-Fi, believe it or not, so you can download the bus timetables. Now, in these kind of locations, you're going to look and say, how easy and quickly can I provide that same solution without the expertise? And the answer is very easily, very quickly, and very customizably. So we can put a custom message, a redirect URL to the business website, and customize it with your own captive portal logo. We can limit the bandwidth up and down across those links. So if you are providing something like a guest network, it's very simple to go in there and say, well, actually, they're not going to take away from the bandwidth that I'm providing to my internal staff or to the rest of the application of my network. Up to 100 concurrent connections per access points. Very much the same way we can do with all of the products that are managed with Insight. You're talking about management across multiple sites. There's going to be up to 8 SSIDs per access points. We do support band steering, and there will also be a router mode for our WAC 510 that will enable you to gain even more functionality at an access point level that you wouldn't be used to traditionally. Within storage, we have an existing range of extremely powerful and reliable ReadyNAS storage, be it both rack mount and desktop. So we're going to be supporting the 400, 500, 600 desktop series ReadyNASs, the 2000, the 3000, and the 4000 rack mount ReadyNASs. Now, it does say you cannot configure the ReadyNAS from the app. We'll get is monitoring into things like usage. You're going to be able to see your RAID levels, the details on your drives, how they're operating, spindle speeds. You'll also see utilization on your storage across your shares and iSCSI if you're using it. Temperature, CPU reports. Now, with NAS, what you will be able to do is reboot the device. You'll be able to assign the network settings. You'll be able to email yourself reports on the logs from the unit. So if you are ever in an issue where there's a ReadyNAS that needs troubleshooting, you can enable remote support that will allow ReadyNAS support to dial in directly to your ReadyNAS, and that's with you not being in the same physical location. But like I said, you can also have the logs emailed directly to you to provide to either NETGEAR support or for yourself to interrogate to see what's going on your NAS. Now, in terms of sharing files, viewing your devices, uploading, downloading, getting functionality out of your ReadyNAS, we still have the ReadyCloud app that's available on iOS and Android and is supported in version OS 6 and above. And that will provide you your own private cloud functionality to your ReadyNAS. So there is still the ability to combine the two apps and gain visibility, setup, configuration, and sharing of all the files on your ReadyNAS. I want to take a moment, we whiz through that fairly quickly, but I want to take a moment to actually show you into the Insight app itself. So I'm just going to connect. And then hopefully we'll see my phone. That's a little bit small, so I'm just going to make that a bit bigger. So here we have my phone. I can promise you this is not a video. So here we have the NETGEAR Insight app. And this is what you'll be greeted with when you sign in. So I already have a network configured in my office. And as you can see there, I have a GC110P powering my WAC 505 and also have a ReadyNAS 528X. So what I can see down here is I'm now in a remote network to that. I'm actually going to take you through and see what we see within the dashboard. So right here, I've got the entirety of my office network. So we've got the health tab now. So I can see my office. I can see Stockholm where I do have a NAS down. If we back here, I can see my wireless network. If I want to drill in and see more details, I can. No one using the wireless at the moment. Then I can come across to my wired network as well and see the very same thing. I can see that we're on 6% utilization to power the access point. I can see the traffic utilization. I can drill in for more details. I can see there. Go back 24 hours, and we can also go across a week. And if we come into NAS, NAS is one of the interesting ones. Oh, apologize, I've gone to the wrong device there. Now, as an avid user of the NETGEAR ReadyNAS, both personally and in a business capacity, especially with the functionality that provides, I find this especially useful. Now, we have the ReadyCloud app that I talked about previously that will provide you access into upload, download of your files, the ability to share them. But this is something that provides me an actual look at my NAS from a management perspective that I didn't have before. Not for me personally, as an engineer, I find that incredibly useful. So I can see my shares here. I can see the different things that are going on. I can see my iSCSIs, my utilization. I come across the details. I can see my drives, the serial numbers, whether they're online, what they're spinning at. So I get a nice view into it. I can upgrade. I'm currently on the latest and greatest firmware already on my ReadyNAS, but I can come along. If there was an available firmware update, I can pop straight in. I can be remote, and I could update my ReadyNAS to the latest firmware. And again, we talked about the fact that you can do IP addressing. Now I'm going to come back out of this, and I'll come across to networks. Now this is where I can now configure stuff. So if I'm looking, and I'm going to come first into wired settings, and I can see here I've got my VLANs, I've got my group port wizard, and I've got my lags for link aggregation. Now I'm going to come into VLAN first, and here we can see I've got my management VLAN, I've got a video VLAN, I've got a Bonjour VLAN that I've created, and a guest VLAN. So if I want to come in, I can add new. It's going to ask me what I want to use it for, be it data, guest, voice, video, or custom setup. I'm going to go for just a data network today, and we'll call this demo underscore VLAN. I'm going to give it a code of 23 for today. Do I want any video optimization or quality of service? Do I want to apply it to port members? Yes, I do. So I'm going to apply it to port 4. Do I want it to be a tagged or untagged? I'm going to say it's going to be a tagged port. It's then going to ask me, do I want to apply it to anything else, be it SSID networks or to link aggregation groups? I'm going to leave it just there at the moment. I'm going to save that. That's then going to push my configuration out across to my switch. So if I come along to my switch here now, I can see it's on port number 1, port number 4, sorry. But now what I also see is the option to then further place that VLAN. So I can see that I have 2 SSID networks that are running on my WAC 505 or 510. And I can say, well, actually, on my Bonjour network, I'm going to change that, and that's now going to sit for there. That's then going to push that out, apply that to my access point. So I can now take the settings that I've created globally and start to share those around the different devices within my network. If we come to access point, I can see here, we have a couple of networks created already. So I've got a guest network, and I've also got a test Bonjour network. Now, if we add a new Wi-Fi, we can call this new coffee shop Wi-Fi. Do I want to broadcast it? Is it on 2.4 or 5 gigahertz? So I'm going to leave it on both to provide the best functionality I can. We'll give it a password, and we're just going to call this something incredibly complicated that nobody will guess. You come along now. This is the captive portal scenario that we talked about. So I can very quickly add a captive portable to my network. we can say, welcome to the guest Wi-Fi network. Thank you for joining. Do we want an end user license agreement? I'd say yes, we do. And we can just say, don't do anything illegal on our Wi-Fi. And then we configured, so we can go back. How long do we want to save to? I'm just going to redirect there. We're going to say the session timeout, we're going to leave it an hour. We'll save that. And we've now added our new wireless network. If we want, I can come along and I can say, well, I want to share that. So I can send that along to anybody in particular. I can email that now across to somebody and say, join my Wi-Fi network. Here's the password. So very simple to set up and share in terms of being the owner of Insight and of the network. Do I want to add some filtering on there? I can add in if I wish. So we're going to say nobody's going to gambling.com. And hey presto, and now my filter is enabled. As you can see, it's very quick, very simple to create intelligent networks, be it by VLANs, link aggregation, and then to further add on and include things like your captive portal websites and pages for your wireless, to upgrade firmware on your NAS and on your storage. I can come along, and I'm just going to come back out of here. Now I can see here that we've got the office, so that's the location that those are sitting. I can say, where is the location? So for us, it's going to be Kane Road in Bracknell. We sit in Berkshire, the Royal County. RG41 5E. Whoa. There's no accounting for being able to use a phone. That's a country, UK. Time zones look good. Although we are based on a road, not a roof. So there's 3 letters again. Now got my location. I can see my wireless region is set to UK, so I'm happy with all of those settings. And there we go. So it's a very quick view. Now, obviously, we do get notifications, so these are push through. If you do have any failures, any alerts, they will display in here. Now, I'm going to come back along to the main menu. So within the main menu, we can manage our NETGEAR accounts. We can edit our profile, our subscriptions. About is about the device itself. I want to take you into technical support because I think this is a great bit of functionality to come in. So this will load you straight into our support website, and here you can see the different options available to you. So for us, we're going to come into Insight. Now, we make the network simple, and the aim is to bridge a knowledge or an expertise gap to allow people to deploy these networks with advanced features without the knowledge behind that. But obviously, there are potentially some concepts that may be foreign to some people, and that's to be expected. And this is why I want to show you the support part of this, because NETGEAR do a really great job of explaining, just not what how to configure something, but what is that feature bit? What is a VLAN? Why is there a VLAN? How does the VLAN work? And things like this. So I can come in and I can say, well, actually, let's go take a look at here. I'm going to take a look at the GC110P, which is the actual one I'm using here. From here, I'm going to find all my downloads, be it firmwares, documentation, what's link aggregation, which is the lags that we discovered here. What can I do with it? How do I discover? We're then going to find tutorial videos and come along and say, well, actually, what is it I want to do? Is it before? Maybe I need some advice on products. Maybe I want to get started. Troubleshooting, warranties, firmwares, guides. There really is a lot of work gone into ensuring that all the support you need is locally hosted and accessible through the app itself. So it's a little bit about that. Now, obviously, we did talk about the fact that there are other apps. So if you are using NETGEAR routers, we have the NETGEAR Up app. We've got NETGEAR Arlo, excuse me, for our wire-free cameras. Support, so you can access support in an individual app itself, and then there's also ReadyCloud, which is for access and sharing of your ReadyNAS hosted files. So I'm going to come back out of this, and I think we're going to come out of this demo. So that's a quick whiz through ReadyNAS and wireless access points and GC switches that kind of show you the methodology, where you'd need to go, what it would look like, how you configure it, and where you can find help on the different functionality and configuration pieces that you get with inside the app. So now, where do we position Insight? And there's really two parts to it. NETGEAR in the SMB world, and certainly in the UK, very much follow a value-add reseller distribution and a channel model. But then we're not just talking to the guys in distribution, in reseller who are selling the IT, we're also talking to the end users. So it's very much a split part. Now, if I'm coming in from a VAR or channel perspective, you're going to gain the ability to now have a services platform. You can start to look to promote to your customers. You're going to get the ability to configure and maintain their devices and their network. High profitability with a low TCO. We're going to cover some more details on that shortly. Lower installation time and cost. Now, if I'm looking at making configuration changes for a customer, it's no longer an on-site visit. Single pane of glass management across all your networks. So you see we can manage multiple networks there. And the same NETGEAR quality, support, and warranty that you'd expect from NETGEAR. Now, as an end user, we're obviously going to focus more on the end user benefits as opposed to the provision benefits. But obviously, simplified networking, easy and extremely quick configuration to achieve high-end results, if you will. Quick setup of all of those devices, being NAS switching or access points, unified configuration, and again, the same quality and support and warranty that you expect it from VAR, channel distribution, or as an end user. There are some differentiators that we want to highlight, and definitely ease of use. We saw how quickly I was able to deploy new VLANs, deploy a new captive portal across a wireless access point, and push those out live to a location. Feature set, so onboarding, discovery, configuration, management, monitoring, and maintenance moving forward. Brand quality and the NETGEAR brand promise. We've been in SMB business networking now for 20 years, and we have no intention of going anywhere. The remote management, never underestimate the ability to make changes remotely from the device itself. It enables you to quickly gain access in tasks that potentially could have taken up a whole day in terms of going out to site, making changes, getting local. Can now be done remotely in a matter of minutes. And the user experience, it has to be simple to use, pleasant on the eyes, and easy to navigate. It's a simplified user experience. We can see that we can now start to team our methodologies. I especially like the fact that if I create a VLAN within switching, I can then take that same VLAN and say, I want to apply it to a port on this switch, I want to apply it to a port on that NAS, and I want to take it and I want to deploy it to this wireless SSID as well, all at the same time. Now, each device will natively support notifications, traffic history, network discovery, secure remote access and configuration, and will work straight out the box with your devices. There will be further offerings. So at the moment, your first 2 devices that you use within your Insight app are free. Further devices will cost you $499 per device per year, so extremely low total cost of ownership in terms of the OPEX model. Now, if you are looking at localized pricing, I would encourage you to reach out to your local sales offices, be it NETGEAR or NETGEAR authorized distribution partners or reselling partners. We will reach out to everyone locally from the teams that sit where you are dialing in from. I can see we have quite a few people from different geographical locations, so we will reach out to you post this webinar. Now, there will be Insight Premium that will be coming out in January 2018. This is going to expand upon the app now and also provide you our cloud web portal. Now, there's nothing that we're able to publicly demo currently, but when we are in a position, we will push out a further webinar and we'll delve back in and take a look with you guys at the web portal. Coming in the first half of 2018, we will also be offering a managed service provider option. Now, this is going to be for MSPs and VARs and distribution partners in particular. This is going to give you a little bit more functionality, but it's going to give you things like multi-tenancy. So I can now be an overall master of the network, but I can provide sub-access to certain locations. So I could have a business in London, England, I can have another business in San Francisco, and I can provide individual access just to those locations, those businesses, with myself maintaining an overall visibility of everything going on. Different views, you'll have the ability to rebadge and rebrand for your own business needs, and centralized policy deployment, scheduling, but also be including some tiered pricing and volume discounts. And again, like I said, when there is further updates and we're in a position to demo this, we will be bringing it right back and showing you guys some more. So do look out for updates on this. Now, I'm going to talk about what's coming up next. And like I said, this was a very quick and direct overview to give you a look into Insight. We're going to be doing follow-up videos. There's a whole load of great resource on our social platforms, on our NETGEAR community. We've also got a lot of great videos, which we call SMB Business Break videos, that are hosted on our NETGEAR YouTube channel. There's a lot of instructional setup videos encompassing not just things like Insight, but a lot of the other products that we sell also. But we are on the December the 7th this year at 11 a.m. based in UK time zone again, going to be talking through everything you wanted to know about multi-gig Ethernet. I'm very excited about this because I think this is going to be something that could potentially be really, really useful that people aren't aware of. So why multi-gigabit Ethernet? And this is the new 5-speed multi-gig Ethernet and the latest NETGEAR switches. And this is going to give you the ability not just to go 10 meg, but you're going to be looking at 100 meg, 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, and 10 gig. Now, we already know we're at 10 gig and we're at in the networking space. There's also the ability to go things to like 40 gig and 100 gig. But what about those guys in between? And a lot of what we do in networking depends on the world that we're coming into and what we're dealing with in terms of existing infrastructure, more importantly, existing cables. Now, there's a very precursor, and I don't want to talk too much and take away from what we're going to talk about this day, because I'm actually very excited to talk to people about this. But this is now going to give you the ability to run at 2.5 gig and 5 gig over existing Cat5e or Cat6 infrastructure for the full 100 meters. Now, if you don't know the importance of that, I'd summarize it by saying the cost of replacing your equipment and replacing your cabling can be a large cost. There can be inhibitors and barriers. If I take protected listed buildings for say, and this is something we see quite a lot in the UK and across Europe, big, lovely buildings that are already pre-wired, and the cost or the ability is prohibitive to replacing cables. I can now gain up to 2.5 to 5 times the bandwidth without ever having to replace my infrastructure and my cables in itself. So if you are interested in learning about this, the registration link is here. We are going to send out copies to all those who join the webinar today of this presentation, and you will get the registration link in there. So I would encourage you to come along again and spend some time with us and learn a little bit about multi-gig Ethernet, the products that it can be applied to, and the places that you can place those products. So 7th of December at 11 a.m. That brings us right along to the end of today. So thank you for your time. It is very much appreciated. Remember, there is a lot of other great products out there from NETGEAR. There's a lot of great resources and webinars and things going on to learn about the different side. We've got things like our non-stop networking and spine and leaf switches, which is our fantastic M4300 range of fully managed 10 gig, 1 gig and PoE plus switches. Security business like never before. This is our fantastic range of Arlo, Arlo Pro, Arlo Pro HD cameras. Insight managed cloud switches that we talked about today. Orbi, which is a phenomenal wireless system in itself, only made better by the introduction of its big brother, which is Orbi Pro. And again, this is a system aimed at business with high-end results without high-end expertise. And if you haven't seen Orbi or Orbi Pro, I would absolutely encourage you to go out there, take a look, visit our websites. In terms of what this brings you in wireless performance and wireless interconnects and coverage, genuinely, this is something that has really changed the way we look at wireless within NETGEAR and what we can do in terms of performance in wireless. And I'm a massive fan just from being a wireless engineer of this product. So I'd absolutely encourage you to go take a look at that. And then also, like I said, coming up on the 7th of December at 11 a.m., we've got the Unlock Your Potential with 5-speed networking on our new range of multi-gig switches. So that brings us to an end, although we're recording today's session, and this will get posted out to you guys with a download link also. We'll also be posting it across platforms like Spiceworks. If you are users on there, we'll be posting it across our different communities. So there will be options to download this, and if you do have colleagues, friends who'd like to view this post today, they can get the download link and view that in your own leisure. We are going to be putting this up in a few hours, again, for our partners in different time zones. And again, if you're joining us from the US, this will be up there for you to view during your Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving for those who are celebrating. And we'll do very much the same moving forward with the multi-gig webinars. And there'll be a whole load of resource that we will provide to you guys, be it on the live webinars, demos. And again, if there's things you guys want to know from us, and it's stuff that we're not covering on the webinars, or it's stuff that you want to learn about, I'd absolutely encourage you to reach out to people like myself or our sales teams and let us know what it is you want to see. And we can start to produce some stuff for you guys that is relevant to what you want to see. So thank you all for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of your week. We look forward to speaking to you again either in between or up to December the 7th. And have a great day. Thank you all.